And we're live. Good morning, everybody. We're just going to wait maybe another 30 seconds and allow some people to join us late, and then we'll get cracking on this particular webinar. Okay, that looks about, there's someone just joined us. That's good. And right, let's go on that. All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here in Mhans this morning. What we would like to just tackle in the next 30 to 45 minutes really is to give you a flavor or a view of what Microsoft is bringing out in its next release of Business Central. For those who are maybe long-time Business Central users, you'll understand that, of course, Microsoft release new capability bug fixes, new add-ons on a 6 months release schedule or cadence, typically October and April. So we get, as a Microsoft partner, we get a view of what's coming. We obviously get some other documentation as to what they're bringing out, but also we get a preview of some of the new capability that we can access and look at. And I think we've got a couple of screens to show you here today in advance of then when the actual release drops. The expectation is the full wave release will drop. This is where Microsoft gets a bit vague. It'll drop, I was told, in October, but maybe November. So, and then it doesn't necessarily always drop at once. They might drop different functionality in dribs and drabs over that period of time. But today's session really is just to focus on what we know is coming, and just to give you that flavor now so that you can look at some of these new things, determine if it's of benefit, and then maybe talk to us afterwards to see how you can benefit from that new capability. Dave, if you don't mind just popping on to the next slide then. So look, really I'm just here today as a presenter. My name is Daryl Brisline. I'm Business Development Manager with Mhans out of our Dublin office, but I do have a foot in both Ireland and UK from time to time. Really, this is my last slide. I hand it over to Dave Butcher. He's one of our senior Business Central consultants, and he will take you through some of these new bits and pieces that Microsoft will be bringing out in this wave release over the next really 6 weeks. So, oh yeah, just one last thing to say then. Look, if you do have questions, either use the chat window or the Q&A function that will be there on your screen. I'll keep an eye on that, and then if you do have a question, I'll interrupt Dave and we'll get that question asked and answered throughout as the event progresses. So Dave, hand it over to you, please.
Thank you. All right, so some of the things that we're going to have a look at today, things coming up in the October wave release or release 27. So first of all, it's not a massive list of new features. There are a few improvements to existing features. And quite a lot of those features are not available in the preview right now, so I can't demonstrate them to you, but we can have a look at what is coming and what that means for you. One thing that they are focusing on in the 27 release is not repeating what they did in the 26 release. So in the 26 release, we saw the introduction of contract management, which changed quite a lot of people's systems. Suddenly a new dimension appeared and new functionality appeared that people were like, what is this? Why have we got all this stuff here? We didn't ask for this. And so it meant people had to do some repersonalization for screens that they had personalized. It meant that they had to tidy up dimensions. It didn't actually negatively impact what was working. It just caused a bit of confusion. So when they are focusing on adding new functionality now, they're doing it as an extension that you can choose to install or not, rather than it just being thrown into the system and you get it straight off the bat. It's no secret that Microsoft have been focusing quite heavily on Copilot and AI. Dale, could you mute yourself, please? Your keyboard's really loud. They've been focusing really heavily on Copilot and AI. in recent times, and as a part of that, they have added a lot of improvements to the Copilot functionality that is coming out in the 27 release. So some of the things that they've done is they've improved the sales agent, they've improved some of the functionality around the payables agent. It recognizes more information on the documents, does more with the information that it's got. If you use the autofill functionality, or you've started playing around with the autofill functionality, that is now supposed to give more accurate results. I could demonstrate that, but in order to demonstrate that, I would need to know something that wasn't accurate previously and something that was accurate. But you should see better results with those. So if you're filling in a new customer and you put in their name exactly as their operating name, and then you hit the autofill on your Copilot to get the name, address, telephone number, email addresses and stuff, that should be a lot more accurate than it has been previously. So I'm not really able to demonstrate a lot of that functionality, but all of those Copilot things that they're working on and building in, they are all having a bit of tweak, making them better, more reliable. One of the first things that is introduced in 27 release is updates to the Microsoft Power BI pack. So the pack that Microsoft releases for sales and purchases has been updated. It's adding brand new semantic models, focusing a lot on location to be able to track where your customers are, where your vendors are, and be able to report on that information. You're going to be able to use dimensions as slices that you weren't able to previously. There's going to be project reporting for sales. And on screen, there's some samples that I've taken from the pre-release information, but some samples of some of the new reports that are coming out. So they've added 7 brand new reports, 2 sales and 5 purchase reports into the packs. And one of the key changes that they've made is this Power BI source code is now open source. It is available. So if you like the reports and you want to just change them a little bit for you, the Microsoft reports previously were locked. It was like you can have them. They're free to have, although you do need a Power BI license to be able to view them. But if you wanted to make any alterations or personalize them for your business, you were not able to do that. So now that Power BI pack is going to be open source and available so you can make changes to it. Currently that is not available in the preview, so it's not something we're able to get into or have a look at today. I can't tell you much about what's in the open source pack until that lands in October, so that'll be something that might come up in the deep dive session later in the year. Next thing is the actual in systems. This is in Business Central financial reports. A couple of things that they have done to improve and add some functionality to this. So I can show this on screen and just show how this looks. So the first thing is on the column layout, we can now include dates in the column headers. So you can see here on this column layout, we have include date in the column header, and we can choose not to, or we can choose to include the month and the year. And there's various options on that. We can also choose to show things in local currency or in our additional reporting currency. So you can choose to show columns in the company that I'm demoing with is a US company, so I can choose to show the column in US and I can choose to show it in GBP as well. So if you do have any local versus international reporting that you need to do, you can do that directly in Business Central now. And it's possible that these are hidden. I've seen reports saying they're hidden, but for me, they weren't on my sandbox that I threw up. So possibly to get those additional columns, especially if you personalized the page previously, you may need to personalize it to add those columns in. And also you can schedule your reports via job queues now. So if you've got any reports that take a long time to generate, you can schedule them in job queues and you can have them emailed directly out. That is a preview feature rather than a go live feature, but I'll talk about a little bit more about some of the preview features towards the end. So quick look at that. All right, so I've got an income statement here, and I've set up a version 27 preview column definition. So if I just pop into that column definition, you can see that I've got my column header, which is what you would have in your version if you ran with it today. And I've also got include date in column header. And I've got a choice here of including nothing and just not displaying a date, or including the day of the week number, the month and the year, the quarter and the year or the full date in there. So I've just chosen month and year in mine. And the other column over here is show in additional reporting currency. So for my GBP column, I've told it that I'd like to show this in my additional reporting currency. So for my finished report, as it comes out, you can see that over here we've got actual USD August 25 and actual GBP August 25 with my values in US dollar in this column and my values in GBP in this column. These are two features that don't have any screenshots, nothing that for me to show you, but they are things that are coming in 27 that aren't included in the pre-release. So all I can tell you is what the literature tells us right now. So one of the new features is audit trail daybook reports. So these are additional reports from the system, currently not available for preview, as I said. They are full daybook listings of GL register and entries, includes every transaction. I'm not sure why they put that in quotes, but they did. Includes every transaction. And because they're reports, you can export them either as a Excel or as a PDF, and you can store them out of BC. So you've got some easy gap compliance in there. The second feature is that adding a new role center. So your role center is what governs your menus, it's what governs your home screen. And so many of you are probably using Business Manager or accounts payable. There's a sales home screen, there is a role for contracts, etc., project managers. They're adding a new accounts payable role center. The centralized home screen and menus are built around an accounts payable function. So all of your purchase ledger items are in there. So it's a central focus around purchase documents. I expect it'll have a lot of the e-document stuff and the purchasing agent items in there, and it would have been updated for the purchasing agent. All of the inbound electronic documents and payment processes are all going to be, the whole role is going to be focused around that process. Next feature is being able to purchase multiple fixed assets. So this one is in the demo and it is something that I can include. But if you wanted to purchase and hold separately, say 30 new laptops or something that you were buying in bulk, and you wanted to have individual fixed asset records for those and process those through purchasing, under the current setup, you would have to put in 30 lines or however many lines of assets that you are purchasing. There's a new field that is going to be available on purchase orders and purchase invoices. I don't know if it's available on quotes, but it's definitely available on orders and invoices, which is a number of fixed asset cards. So if it's not on screen, you will need to personalize and add that to your screen. When using and generating fixed assets, you can set yourself up a fixed asset that you want to generate, and it will use that fixed asset as a template to generate assets. Now you can see on the screen here that we have a quantity of 30. That's your standard quantity that would be used if you were doing inventory transactions, or just doing normal GL without using inventory. You would enter your quantity in there to get your unit cost multiplied by quantity for the price. Your number of fixed assets does not relate to that quantity. So it will perfectly accept that your quantity is 1, but your fixed assets is 30. It will accept that your quantity is 30, but your number of fixed assets is 7. And it will just divide the total price by the number of fixed assets that you've said. It will use the fixed asset card as the template, and then it will generate the number of fixed assets that you've asked for, splitting the total cost across those assets. So let's go and have a look at that in BC. Okay, so I have a purchase invoice here. I've recorded that this is a type of fixed asset. I've created a fixed asset card, fixed asset 100, IBM laptops, not put any details in against it yet, but that is the last of my fixed assets. If I click on next, then there's no further pages. Fixed asset 110, 120, they don't exist. Then I tell it how many fixed assets I want to create. So if I say I want to create 10 fixed assets for this, it's going to look at my total price, my 37,500, and it's going to divide that by 10 to get me my individual asset price. So if I just pop into preview posting here, all right, so you can see it's doing all of the normal entries that you would associate with purchase ledger. We've got some general ledger, we've got some vendor, we've got some tax, and we've also got our 10 fixed asset ledger entries in here. So you can see it is going to, I've done this a few times, so it's jumped on a few in the numbers, but you can see it's going to generate fixed asset 100. That one is going to put the first asset into, which is the asset that I chose. But then the next in the number series on my fixed assets is 550, 560, 570. And so it's going to generate these assets using 100 as a template. And it's split the cost by, if there's any rounding, it will round in normal ways. So it'll put in what it does, maybe put rounding on the third line. If you were to do a not even split, yeah, you'll get your rounding popping in where appropriate. So totally based on number of fixed assets and price, not based on quantity, and it will use the asset that you select as a template. It will create the one that you've selected as its first asset, and then use the number series to automatically generate additional assets using the first one as its template. Next one again isn't very easy to demonstrate on screen, but it is quite an important change for Microsoft, and it is something that they've hit UK with quite early in its cycle. So they've done this for the Swedish and the Icelandic versions of Business Central in 2023, and now we've been given it next. And that is, we are being moved away from having a special localization. Right now in the UK, if you install Business Central, you will be installing a Business Central GB version, whereas the majority of the world is not getting a localization. They are getting a W1 version, a worldwide version of Business Central. So all of the UK functionality is being taken out and is being put into an extension. Now, for anyone who is in and operating in the UK, this will have very little impact on you. You will be on a global platform. So if you have companies in other countries that are also in W1 installation, you'll see it is a lot easier to set up those countries and do your full international setup in a single tenant. For our customers who are based in Ireland, this means that you will now have access to the UK as an extension. So while Ireland is part of the W1 worldwide application, if you are in Ireland and also are registered for VAT in the UK and need to do Making Tax Digital, that has previously not been available for you to be able to do in Business Central because it was part of the GB release and not part of the W1 release. Now that that's being taken out and put into an extension, it means that we can put that in for any Irish customers that have UK VAT registration, and you will be able to do MTD submissions on a W1 application. So it's not going to have a lot of effect for anyone who is in the UK unless you are planning to branch out into other countries. You'll find that a lot easier. But it will have an effect, a positive effect for any Irish customers who need to do MTD, HMRC tax submissions, but are on the W1 release. I'm not sure how many people we have got using the Shopify extension. I know some people who are using Shopify with BC, but I don't think they're using the integration. Oh, what went on? So in Shopify, we've got an updated connector with better troubleshooting. Shopify Plus point of sale staff. That's annoying. That's going to be on there. Point of sale staff now mapped to salespeople in Business Central. And you can define different markets in Shopify. So if you have international trade, you can set up different pricing for different markets. So you can have your pricing in Euro, your pricing in GB. And you can define sell to, bill to. And my slide deck apparently has had enough of that slide. Time to move on. With all of the releases of Business Central, there are preview features. So there are preview features right now that come October release or come release 27, those features are going to become mainstream. There are some that were scheduled to become mainstream that are not going to become mainstream and have been deferred, and they are still available as preview features. And there are a couple of new preview features, some of which I can demonstrate, some I cannot. All right, so the preview features that are going in with 27 that will no longer be preview features, they will be part of core BC. Multiple users can post warehouse entries at the same time. Service certificate validation for HTTP requests. Enable use of package tracking in physical inventory orders. And add fields from related tables in analysis mode. So where you were using the analysis mode for your views and you were doing it on, say, purchase transactions, you were able to add in information from the vendor record. As part of the preview feature, that's now going to be standard. The ones that didn't make it that are still preview features, so you can still enable these, but they are preview features only. They are not core functionality yet. So calculate only visible flow fields. Now that's really a speed thing. That's not anything you would notice as a user, but it's turning that on can speed up some of your screens because you're asking BC to do less work. Used optimized text search lists. Enable use of GL currency revaluation. use new communication text for reminder terms. So those top 4 there, they have all been moved to release 28 as their expected part of the core functionality. And autosave with every field change, that has been removed, that has been moved to release 29. Along with preview semantic similarity search application on metadata. I can't actually tell you what that is, I don't know, but it's one of the things that's been pushed now. It is available for preview, but it is not part of the 27 release. Another one that's also still showing as preview, but still says 27, so it may be coming in one of the point releases of 27 before April, but not expected for October, is optimized screen estate usage on the web. So better use of your screen when you're viewing over a browser. Two additional pieces of functionality that are coming. One I can show you, one I cannot. So these are new preview features that you can choose to turn on from 27. They will not be part of your 27 release. They are preview features that you can choose to switch on. So the first one is the advanced tell me window. So this one I can demonstrate for you. So if you want to turn this on, got to go for feature management. Okay, and at the top of the list here, we've got the feature Advanced Tell Me Preview. So if you enable that for all users, that will be on in your environment. It's scheduled to be part of core functionality from 28. And the other one at the moment is not available, which is the extra enhancements to the financial reporting, which I'll talk about in a second. But one of the things that people sometimes find in BC right now is that they've got the Tell Me window to navigate around BC. Everything in the help tells you to use the Tell Me window because they don't know what profile you're using, so they don't know what menu structures they've got. And so you might be searching for something, but you might not know what it's called. So if I want to search for preview features in my Tell Me window, you get nothing. It's like, well, I know there are some preview features, I just don't know where to find them. What is that called? If you swap over to using the advanced Tell Me window, then you can type in preview features. And it suggests that maybe you'd like to go to feature management, where we can see our preview features. And there's also some other pieces suggested in there as well. So same kind of thing. Let's say I wanted to revalue the euro. Nothing comes up there. But type in revalue euro on advanced, and it suggests I might want to go and do some exchange rate adjustments. Okay, so it's a little bit more helpful in navigating around the window, uses a bit more of the AI functionality and Copilot to read what you've typed and suggest what you might actually be looking for in BC instead of, I just can't find that. Actually, while I am there, I'm going to point out one other little tiny feature that is available that is demonstrable. It is small, but to me, it's a good one. And that's so you can resize the Copilot pane. So if you want it bigger so you can see more results, you can make it as big as you need it to be. Or if you want it out of the way, you can make it as small as it'll go. That's the smallest it will allow, but you can resize it to make better use of the Copilot information if you're getting a lot of data in here. Okay, the other functionality is all about the financial reports in BC. So we had a little look at the things that are available to test out in the preview version, the month and the period date column and the additional reporting currency, but these are all listed as extra features that we can't see or play with or touch and get a handle on at the moment. So first one is we'll be able to run financial reports on a schedule and get the report delivered to via email or into the report inbox. Okay, so if you have to, as part of your monthly reporting on the 5th of the month, you send out your income statements, you do that via email, you want to send them out to various people, you will now be able to schedule that in a job queue and send those to be delivered either to the report inbox in BC or send them straight out via email. We're able to demote fields as additional fields in the options menu for the report definition. So I think this is making use of the show more. So you can take some of the fields that are on the report header and put them into the show more menu options so that they don't display automatically. Some of the things that you don't want people touching, messing with, you can hide those and move them out of the way. When you're entering information into a row definition, if you do something like select an account number, it will automatically fill the description and the row number for you based on if you look at that with the an account, it would populate the description with the account's description. It'll populate the row number with the account number. You can get a notification. You will get a notification when you update financial. Tripping over my own tongue. You will get a notification to update your financial reports if you change the name of an account in the GL. So if you are restructuring a little bit and you want to merge some accounts, so previously you had travel and accommodation separated, and you are now deactivating the accommodation account and just calling travel and accommodation. When you change that account name, it will prompt you and let you know that that account is being used on financial reports, and you should go and update the description in your financial reports. There's also an option to edit your row definitions in Excel. So if you prefer to do that kind of stuff based on existing reports that you've got out in Excel and you want to be able to move things around, you will be able to edit your row definitions in Excel. You will be able to move name fields and add description fields to the card pages in the row and column definitions. And we're going to support dynamic naming for column headings in column definitions. And we had a look at this one already, but we're able to use local currency and our additional reporting currency. So the dynamic naming of column headings, that's based on the month, the date. So the last two there were the ones that I demonstrated at the beginning of this session. All right. There are a ton of additional things that I've not pulled out as being things that are heavily used by our customer base right now. So these are things that either we don't have any customers using them today, or they're things that we didn't see in the users that are attending this session, or they're just things that are inconsequential. So the first thing here is there's a couple of additional fields available for personalization. So the sell to customer name and bill to customer name is now available for personalization to add onto sales documents, archive pages, tasks, cards. So they've been fields that existed in the database, but they've not been visible to anyone. So if you wanted to be able to use those, you now can via personalization. Same with vendors. So vendor name 2 and pay to name 2 is now available on all purchase documents, posted and archive pages. Shipment method and shipping agent is available on service quotes. Statistics group is available on customers, items, vendors, and their equivalent templates. And multiple price groups and price calculation method is available on customer templates to be able to roll that down to your manufacturing setup. We've got the ability to choose the default consumption quantities based on actual or expected output. So if you are doing manufacturing, you will be able to select that on an individual basis, but you can now go into the manufacturing setup and set what you would like your default to be. This one is one that is not really a on-screen or functional process, but it's more of an optimization. And that is put in to ensure that people can do better multi-processing. So if you've ever experienced trying to post something and you get a message on screen saying that somebody else is posting, please wait a minute. This is to reduce the amount of times that will happen. It is not going to eliminate it completely, but you should see it a lot less often. So BC no longer processes in line order. It now groups things together and processes by type and number. So item and item number, or GL and a GL account number. So it groups and processes them on posting. That is in there as an optimization to reduce the number of record locks. Now, what that might mean is if you have any customizations that work and do things on posting, and let's say that they were doing something like reading some information from the previous line, that could be affected. So if you do have any kind of customizations on your system that kick in during posting and change what happens in BC when posting happens, that is one of the things that you're going to need to get in, have a look at, and test that before your update happens to ensure that it's not broken. So roll yourself up a 27 preview sandbox and get testing sooner rather than later if you have any of those types of customizations. There's some subcontractor improvements to material transfers, better pricing, and warehouse handling. There is a brand new quality app. So this will not become part of your core functionality. It will be an app that you can choose to install. It is obviously available for free, but then instead of just putting it in and changing everyone's system like they did with the contracts, it is an app that you can choose to install and do it in a controlled way, adding the functionality to your system. So the quality app is there for purchase receipts, production, and assembly output, and allows you to do manual and schedule checks, includes quarantine procedures to stop people from consuming inventory before it's gone through its process, and has some certification around any kind of products that need certification checks against them. So as I said, it's not installed on demand. It is available on AppSource if that's something you want to have a look at or add to your system for additional improvements. There were a whole host of sustainability improvements, and I haven't even included them all here. I've included just a few of them. So end-to-end scope 3 tracking for purchases, projects, tasks, assemblies, transfers, manufacturing, and the ability to track sustainability on charge items. So if you've got extra shipping charges and things to put on there, you can track the sustainability information on that. They've added sustainability for energy sources, so you can track your energy source consumption, record where the source of your energy is it renewable, is it fossil, etc., etc. And there's quite a lot of additional sustainability. Now, in my experience, a lot of customers are starting to get interested in sustainability, but haven't actually started using it yet. So I've kind of put them in the others section, but if there's something that you are interested in and want to know more about, get in touch and we'll give you the full details of all the changes that are added to sustainability. And they've also added ESG reporting So there's additional fields available on the employee, so you can put in engagement type, working hours. It integrates with project and the wider Microsoft ESG product that's available. I have no experience of the Microsoft ESG product, but if you are doing any of that, I can't remember what it's called, environmental, social governance, I believe it is. If you have any of those kind of reports that you are doing or working with or are needing to get involved with, there's some additional features for that in Business Central. All right, back to Daryl.
Great, thank you, David. Thank you very much for that. If there are any questions, like I said earlier at the start of the webinar, if you want to put your question into either the chat or Q&A, we'll pick it up now. Or of course, just reach out to your account manager if there's anything in what David has covered has piqued your interest. And if it has, then look, what I've got here on the screen in front of you is a series of events that we're hosting between now and Christmas. And you might note there's another webinar where really we're going to go into a deeper dive into the October wave release when we have full access to everything. So we will take an awful lot of what David has covered here today and go in and set up a webinar and show it in action. So we will take you through it within Business Central. So maybe mark that in your calendar, 4th of November, another webinar. So easy enough, just join us online and we'll go deep into the solution. I see a question go up in the chat. Oh no. No. Okay, just because I'm conscious it's probably a finance audience here today, some of the events that we have coming up probably aren't relevant, but I'm going to pick out two for any of our UK-based customers who are in the charity space. The Charity Finance Summit is coming up in London on the 16th of October. That's well worth a visit. We will be there. We'll have a stand there. We are presenting there. It's taking place in a location down in the city within London. So that's always a good one to go to if in the charity space. And then I mentioned the webinar. The other one then I'm going to point out is this is our big day where we take a location again in London, and we cover a number of streams. So we spend a whole day on Business Central, but also a whole day on Dynamics CRM, and then also on data. So, you know, analytical reporting and so on. And we'll have a session on the whole Copilot AI world that Microsoft's introduced across both Business Central, CRM, and data. So look, if you are around in London, can get to London, please join us on the 19th of November live at the event in London. And then the final one I'll point out before I finish up here today, as a Business Central customer of Enhance, be aware that we run a quarterly round table. Essentially, again, gives us a chance to review the waves, but also meet some of your peers to discuss how they're using Business Central, things they do, talk to some of the consultants who are involved in implementations, both with you and elsewhere. So it's a good way to kind of just shoot the breeze with other Business Central users, as well as using us to learn from again. 2 of them we do online, 2 of them we do in person. And the Christmas one is in person, again in London, 27th of November. So look, useful dates there for the Business Central audience that you are. And again, look, any questions on those, just reach out again to your Enhance account manager. Okay, I think that's it. We've got one more slide, just really saying thank you for listening. I see no questions popping up in chat and QA. So look, let's give you back 15 minutes of your time today. Thank you all very much.